the network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
Ready.
AVWeek.
Performing scan.
Week.
Online.
This is AVWeek. AVWeek.
This is AV Week, your weekly wrap-up of audiovisual news and information. My name is Tim Albright. I am your host. With us this week from the wonderful land of Cisco, Mr. Paul Depperschmidt. Hello, sir.
Hello there. How you doing?
Oh, good. Thanks for joining us. Also with us is my buddy and pal, Mr. Mike Shin from IMS. Welcome, sir.
Hello, Tim. Thanks for having me back, as always.
Absolutely. Okay, so here's interesting week, interesting couple of weeks, interesting 3-4 month, whatever. We're going to kick this off just talking about acquisitions, and I think somebody on Twitter, I'm sure at some point, made the joke that we could do a daily show just about mergers and acquisitions in the AV industry, and probably have enough content for between now and InfoComm. So the first one we're going to hit is actually Barco. If you're watching the video, try to bring up the article here. Barco purchased a company that you may or may not have heard of. I've heard of it because of my work in programming and show production. It's a company called Medialon. Now, what makes this interesting and significant is up for discussion, and that's what we'll do here. Medialon's a control company, and they're not a normal control company as far as AV is concerned. When we talk about control, we typically talk about systems, right? Rooms. We talk about Extron, AMX, Crestron. You push a pretty button, projector comes down, lights go on, things of that nature. Medialon is actually a different segment, and they do a lot of show control, and they do a lot of museum control. So you walk up to a interactive display or a presentation at a museum, and it senses you're there and plays back the content, right, or what have you. So their move here, and Barco's move here, is very, very interesting. One thing that we got a quote here from the article in Commercial Integrator from Barco, quote unquote, "We believe that you, our customer, will enjoy important benefits from this merging of the two companies' capabilities." Interesting, because Barco is traditionally a projector manufacturer, and they've gotten into the wireless distribution of video with ClickShare. Paul, we're going to kick this off with you. Mm-hmm. First question: does this make sense? And if it does, why?
Okay. Well, when it goes into show control, it makes sense to me for Barco in that they do a lot of that. I mean, their projectors are in shows, in major presentation things. That kind of makes sense from that standpoint. I don't know Medialon, so I can't say whether they really affect the room-based systems that much, if at all. They may not. But I can see Barco absolutely trying to shore up their show, their presentation, their big event type of thing, and trying to own more of the dollar. It's the same thing that a lot of companies run into. So a little bit more of what we're going to talk about today, I'm sure, is there's consolidation, but it's consolidation of trying to cover all your bases so nobody sneaks in. So you want to make sure that I'm selling the projector, yes, and I'm also selling the control, and then that could step into maybe the audio, that could step into something else that you could say, I'm going to try to control the whole thing so that I get all the dollars involved with that event. That'd be my guess. Okay. The more you do, the stronger you are, the more you control your destiny. I guess that's what they're thinking.
Well, Mike, IMS, not for nothing, is not only do you guys do integration, but you also do live production. Mm-hmm. Does this, first of all, to Paul's point, does it make sense to have, one company, controlling everything and providing everything?
I think it's definitely an interesting move on Barco's part. They made that move, several years ago with the purchase of Folsom. got into the switching world, really became a household name in the live events and event staging world for handling signal. So for Barco, based on what I read in that article, for Barco to make a move like this, it makes sense because they want to bring ClickShare out of just the integration world and into the show world, which does have an application that could be, something that could be useful. But I don't know. We'll have to see how it unfolds.
Okay, time out for a second here. And I could be totally stupid, which is usual. So you could educate me here, Mr. Shin. You're telling me that they want to get ClickShare into show and live production.
Maybe I misread. I mean, that's
Okay.
what I thought was said in that article, was that one of the moves was to introduce, here, I'm trying to pull it up again. I can't find it. Was to introduce ClickShare to the show market.
How? I mean,
Yeah, I'm curious too.
yeah, I am too.
I know. That's why I'm saying it's intriguing. If that's what the move was about, I don't know how Medallion would actually do that. I don't know what the model would be unless they're trying to move towards more of a software-based application to make that happen.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, the ClickShare is really an idea of I'm going to take what is on my content that's on something, and I'm going to put it up on a presentation. That's kind of a claim to fame, right? So
Correct.
Wires, and I'll be able to do it wirelessly.
Well,
You know better. Is there a place for that in show, in show things?
Yeah, Mike, is there?
We have had crazier things. I mean, we were asked 2 months ago to go out and buy a touch video wall just for the show, just for the event that we were doing, and it was going to be in the back of the room for people to interface with on custom content in between the general sessions. So I mean, there's certainly been crazier concepts in the show world for what people want to be able to do, and we've had the numerous requests for the audience response systems to be able to get instant feedback and throw it up on the screen. So I mean, like I said, there could be crazier things. And like I said, maybe I misread it in the article, Tim. You'd have to throw it back up and share it again. But I thought that's one of the things that the article pointed out.
Yeah, I'm just again, you're right. We've seen crazier things happen in show. A couple other acquisitions and interesting moves this week. AVISPL, not an insignificant integrator in the U.S., was purchased by basically an investment firm and a VC firm. So here's, Mike, I'm going to start with you on this one. The question for that one is, where are we when it comes to margins and with the actual business of AV? Technology aside, really cool, groovy things. A month from now, we're all three going to be on the show floor, eyes ablaze of everything. The actual business of making money in this industry. What does it say that a firm that has no ties to AV, right? This is not one integrator buying another one, but this is a company who's looking to make money, saying, "Hey, here's a business that we think we can make money in." What does that say that this has happened this week?
Well, that a $75 billion industry is something that people want to get into. The shrinking margins on equipment is something that we've been feeling the pain on for over a decade at this point. But the increasing margin in professional services and managed services is probably something very attractive to an investment firm like HIG.
All right, Paul and Mike mentioned this, the whole shrinking margins idea. Not for nothing, Cisco sells some of the products that those guys have been screaming about shrinking margins on.
Yeah.
So from Cisco's standpoint, or from your personal standpoint, do you think that this means, or at least says something, that our industry is not as in bad a shape as some people may think it is? The fact that these guys are spending a fair amount of cash for a company that's in the heart of this industry.
Well, I dug around a little bit on this because clearly within Cisco we were like, oh, that's curious. What's going on here? So we started looking at it, and I kind of did a little digging around. When you go to HIG Capital and look at, they have hundreds and hundreds of companies that they purchased. And actually AVISPL fits in technology IT. So and in that same list, I'm looking at it, Quicken is in there. Most of these guys I don't recognize. I don't know who they are. Electromedia, I don't know who they are. Lulu's, Telescope. But I think what they're doing is they're picking up a stable, a stable of companies that looks like they could. I think to your point, and Mike, I think you're right on that they're looking for that ongoing revenue type thing and not just moving boxes. And most people, when you look at cloud, for instance, I mean, the whole point behind cloud is an annuity. It's something that I can get income coming for a regular base. Yeah, you're right. Selling product and just being able to sell a box has a limited life, but a service that you can go back to, over and over again and have kind of an ongoing income stream, that's attractive. But it's interesting that they put AVI-SPL in the technology IT section. So I don't even know that they're looking at them as an AV group. I think they're looking at them indifferently. I think they're kind of looking at them almost like IT to some extent. So again, you look at all the other things that HIG manages. I mean, there's aerospace and there's healthcare. There's all this kind of. They have all companies under it. It's just interesting. I don't know that it'll make any change other than the fact that
of who owns them.
They have more capital. I mean, for AVI-SPL, that's got to give them a lot of strength.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of backing for capital.
Let me ask you a question about, and you can tell me it's not my business or you can't comment, and that's fine. I need to ask the question. You guys have several different sales arms and relationship-based arms, right? Where I'm going to call them reps. You can correct me if I'm using the term incorrectly. These are people who work for Cisco. They go out to build relationships with end users as well as with integrators and IT managers and stuff like that. Is that model within Cisco? Do you call them reps?
Yeah, we call them account managers actually.
Okay, account managers.
And so they would have an assigned account. Then you have people that are a little bit more specialized, what we call a product sales specialist, PSS, that is more focused on specific areas that the account manager pulls in as they need them. So,
okay, so I got that figured. I'm getting somewhere with this.
Okay.
Does this sale, right? Does this change folks like you? Not you specifically, because you do something different. You're more in collaboration. But Cisco as a company looking at how they attack different corporations and different companies. Do you guys worry about the top level parent company? Like, is somebody need to go see the folks at HIG to say, hey, how you doing? We would do a lot of work with AVI-SPL. Just want to make sure that we're okay. Or is it something where they would just stick with their relationship with AVI-SPL and not necessarily concern themselves with the upline?
Yeah, in this particular case, I think it's the latter.
Yeah,
because there are so many companies that you see that are owned by HIG that it wouldn't make a lot of sense. They're just like AVI-SPL is one of their ones in their stable. So I don't think we would change. Well, of course, we have partner managers that work with AVI-SPL, and they are one of our big partners in collaboration, without a doubt. So, and while we're at it, I mean, when you speak about it, they're actually one of the few at the higher volumes that is AV related. I mean, they're one that came in from the Tandberg acquisition and actually were to kind of hold their own and be able to stay up there with what we consider the big boys, the Dimension Datas and worldwide technologies and all that. They're holding their own collaboration-wise with that. That didn't happen to everybody by any means, and so it's impressive that they've been able to do as well as they have. Really, they've done really well.
Yeah, it's been very, depending on which market you're talking about, but yeah, absolutely, it's one of those. And again, very interesting story and kind of interesting to. It's not done yet. Let's just put it that way. It's not finished. All right, so next story up is a little bit about Dell and a whole lot about the technology in general. So let's kick to the chase here. Dell is rebranding itself into Dell Technologies, Dell EMC and Dell. And if you've already been lost, join the club. So it basically Michael Dell, and that's actually who the company was named after and who founded it and everything like that. Basically went off and said, look, here's the deal. We're going to change our name to Dell Technologies, except for the EMC part, which they bought last week, and that's going to be Dell EMC, except for some of the other parts, and that's going to be Dell too. So here's the thing with this, and but actually, Paul, I do want to start with you on this because of Cisco and because of the overarching and the different brands that Cisco, different types of technologies Cisco has in it. You guys, for better or worse, have done a really good job of when you acquire somebody, it's Cisco, right? Mm-hmm. When you bought Tandberg, it wasn't Tandberg. It wasn't Tandberg by Cisco. It wasn't Cisco Tandberg. If I want to buy a codec right now, and 10 years ago it was Tandberg, it's going to be a Cisco codec currently. Mm-hmm. So, what do you think the thinking is, or what is your take on the thinking here behind the different branding here? I mean, I'm going to be honest. I think of Dell. I think of Dell. I think of Cisco. I think of Cisco. You guys could change your name tomorrow, and I would probably still call you Cisco, at least for the next 5 years. Yeah. Because ideas and brands get in our head. Mm-hmm. So, what is the thinking behind all this?
Yeah, it is that key one. I've worked for a lot of manufacturers now. Some very large, like Panasonic was huge, and I got to be honest here, probably get me in trouble, but it's like sometimes this stuff means a lot to the people inside, means nothing to anybody outside.
All right.
It's like it's a big deal, and everybody gets together, and everybody, it's like, oh, we're going to change everything, and the world's going to change because of it, and it's like everybody goes, oh, that's nice. Sometimes it's just window dressing. I mean, and a lot of times it's restructuring divisions and things like they absorbed this division with that division, so therefore internally we have to call it something different. But I'm looking at that, and that one would just struck me as that's nice. I don't know that there's anything earth-shattering that I read there. I could be wrong. I'll go over and see if anybody else has got something else. But.
All right, Mr. Shen, from your take, what does this all mean?
I completely agree with Paul. I mean, there's nothing has changed by this name change, and my company went through a rebranding in 2009 and 10, and we went from IMS Audiovisual to IMS Technology Services. Why did we do that? Because we were expanding beyond just AV. I mean, there was a reason for the rebranding. There was a reason for the name change. I haven't seen anything in here other than the purchase of EMC, in which case, fine, call it Dell EMC. But do you have to put out a press release that says, and then this is going to be Dell, and this is going to be Dell Technologies, and this is going to be Dell? It just doesn't make sense to me, personally. So I don't really care, to be frank.
All right.
Yeah, and I'm with you. I think it's the main brand that drives it. I mean,
exactly.
Let's face it. I mean, it's Cisco, it's Microsoft, it's, that's what you hear. I mean, it's kind of inside baseball when you're like, oh, it's this division or that division or whatever. And a lot of times, like, do I really care? It's,
yeah.
So I think it's, I've seen this corporate why a lot of times there's so much that goes into changing, like the branding, and we're going to change all this, and ultimately it comes down to that's nice.
Well, and it's honestly, I looked at it like I did naming rights on a stadium. You guys, Paul's in Atlanta. Mike's up in
Austin now.
Austin. Oh, you are in Austin. I'm sorry. Last time I talked to him, he was in Atlanta. So you're in Texas. Mike's up in Philly. I'm in St. Louis. We have a local outdoor pavilion, concert hall. When it was first put up, it was called Riverport, and there was no naming rights. Over the last 25, 30 years, it has been called several different names of different things, right? Those of us who have been around for forever and a day, we still call it Riverport, regardless of who owns the naming rights this year. Yeah. So it's kind of the way I see it. So
yeah, I just that's nice,
Yeah. I'm going to get a cease and desist from Michael Dell, just so both of you know. All right. Actually,
we're not disparaging at all. It's like that's fine, but I'm not. It's not going to change my life in any way.
No.
All right, you're getting a cease and desist, but he's going to personally send a team to remove all of my servers from my building as a result.
Well, then you can buy Cisco servers.
There we go.
A short story about Michael Dell. Actually, I used to work in Austin at a local Proline Video. It's long since gone, but we had a showroom floor, and on Saturdays we would have all these big displays. At the time it was like the big rear display, Mitsubishi's and all this. Well, on Saturdays the business guys would have to cover it, and so this guy walks in, t-shirt, blue jeans, and it's kind of wandering around and looking at stuff, and one of the guys goes, "Can I help you?" No. He just kind of wandered around. Finally, "Can I help you?" And the guy finally just walks out, and my owner comes out and goes, "Do you You know that was? That was Michael Dell. He could have bought this place and fired you idiots. You know, what are you doing? So anyway, he was just like another guy that walked in.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago, though.
Yeah, he probably wouldn't do that. He'd send people.
Yeah, that's probably true.
All right, let's start with one of our first previews, I guess, or teases for InfoComm. Wyrestorm. Wyrestorm's an interesting story. They were one of the first folks who jumped on the HDBaseT wagon and have been doing it ever since. They're previewing, or at least submitting for your approval, HDBaseT 4K. HDBaseT 2.0 4K Ultra HD, which I'll talk about in a second and why they shouldn't do that. Doing that plus some wireless video as well. Personal preference, and this is I will fight this until the day they throw me off the air. If it's 4K, that's fine. If it's Ultra HD, that's fine. They're not the same. All right, that's all I'm going to say about that. Because 4K is actually 4,000 lines of anyhow. Mike, is this something that's interesting to you? The fact that HDBaseT is getting into the 4K realm and helping out with that, or is it either too late or too early?
Well, I'm with you. It's UHD. It's not 4K, so I wouldn't say that they're getting into the 4K world. But at the same time, did I lose you guys? Are you there?
No.
Yeah. We're here.
But at the same time, it is interesting to see that they're getting into those higher resolutions and that HDBaseT is, in a manner, going to support that. I'm looking very forward to seeing the statistics as to how far I can go with that signal. But that's at least a step forward in the right direction.
Yeah. Paul, from your standpoint, though, I mentioned before that Paul's main bread and butter, what he does on a daily basis, is collaboration. Mm-hmm. Where are we at with 4K and collaboration? I mean, I'm going to ask a kind of a snarky question. Does anybody care yet when it comes to collaboration with 4K? Or are we still trying to get everything wrapped around 1080?
Yeah, and actually, when it comes to my world, which is conferencing, and so, the video conferencing part, we have been at trying to get people up to 1080p for a long time. Yeah. And so even though you have the capability, and there are those, that have to have the latest, greatest, and all that, in most cases, you're going to find that most people still using video conferencing are not at high definition rates. A lot of times they run at 512 and they're happy with it. And so, we can do the one-upsmanship and all that kind of thing and get it going and to the higher and higher and higher. But we've also got, you've heard of the H.265? Mm-hmm. H.265, the ability to do, much higher resolution at half the band, things like that. And that was all the rage. And when's the last time you heard anybody talk about it? I mean, it just seems like it just kind of fell off the map. And it was, there were some things that I think we reach a point where they say it's good enough. I mean, I maybe shouldn't say that in some cases, but they look at it, my video is fine for what I need it to do. Do I need 4K in a video conferencing call? I mean, I love it when I see it on the TV. When I go places and see it, it's awesome. But do I have to have that for my work day, video conferencing things that I do? But I don't know that anybody's clamoring to say, oh my God, you've got to race to 4K or you'll be left out. I'm not hearing that. Well,
and that's a really good question I was going to ask you. Are you hearing anything where, maybe not for video, right? Nobody wants to see my ugly butt in 4K. Trust me. Mm-hmm. Nobody wants to see it in person either. But content, right? Besides Mike. Mm-hmm. Content, right? And we've had several discussions, arguments, white papers have been written about what exactly needs to be in 4K. You've got medical documentation, you've got CAD drawings and stuff like that you can get down into detail. Sure. Do you think maybe that's what's going to drive the conferencing market to 4K? Is the actual content, not seeing people in 4K?
That's what I would think.
Yeah.
But I'd like to hear also from the AV perspective.
Mr. Shin, what do you think? What's going to drive us?
I think absolutely. In education, where we're seeing the drive for 4K is in the sciences and in the arts. Mm-hmm. So in the fine arts specifically, to be able to look at individual brush strokes on fine pieces of artwork. And then on the flip side for the sciences, that makes perfect sense for a higher resolution of an X-ray or CAT scan or an MRI. In the telemedicine world, I can see that really driving the conferencing solutions for telemedicine as well. But I'm with Paul. I mean, if I'm sitting in the boardroom and I'm already using a meg, do I really need to be dedicating 4 megs in order to see a 4K picture of Tim, your face? I don't think I need that.
No.
Yeah. So that's not going to drive it, but I think the content clearly would. I mean, you can list off. You just did a few applications that, man, the higher resolution the better, and so there's definitely going to be reasons for it. But it's not what we're hearing people go crazy about, you know.
Yeah.
And when it becomes that, we'll be there. I'm sure we'll do the same. And let's face it, running bandwidth on a network, that's a good thing for us. So
I was gonna say,
we love it.
not a bad thing.
Merrier, please do.
Well, I was going to say, Cisco's like a lot like Google. The more you use the network, the better it is for them.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, I don't think that's a big secret that, you know, whenever people start running high definition video, that's a good thing for us. So.
Well, and that's the other thing is, so I mean, so you guys, I mean, stupid, I mean, that's a stupid question, but maybe presumptive. Would it not make sense for you guys to start creating 4K, or maybe 8K? Long story, NAB had a lot of 8K cameras. Would it not make sense for you guys to start pushing 4K video conferencing and saying, you know, this is the next greatest thing? Because if you buy this, then you have to buy this switch over here.
Sounds like a pretty good idea. And it's more than likely somebody is thinking about that right now. I don't know anything formal that has come out, but clearly, I mean, when you look at it, if you back up even, you know, say 15, 20 years ago, and I remember going to a course one time where the guy said, you want to see where the money's going to go, look at the bandwidth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, follow the bandwidth, and you're going to find where all the big players are going.
Yep.
And it's true. I mean, you know, the Verizons and the Googles and the Cisco's clearly, and even the Microsofts and all that. It's like driving more bandwidth is the name of the game.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
When you remember Flip? You remember? I've got a couple.
Oh my gosh, yes, I remember
in my
Flip.
drawer, right? You know, a couple of old Flip things. The batteries are dead now, but Flip was all about getting high definition bandwidth on the network.
Yeah,
made sense before phones had them. You know, so you will see Cisco will probably come out and do our best to drive traffic on the network when it's necessary. I think you'll also see us stand back and help when other people are going to do it. It's not always imperative that we do it. It's imperative that somebody does it. And so, do we have to drive 4K? Maybe we can just help it happen. You know, maybe help other people do it. We don't necessarily have to be the ones doing it. But who knows?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
InfoComm 2017, if I see the SX80 4K, I got Tim's back. Somebody owes him a check. I'm just saying.
We drove it.
Somebody owes him a check.
We drove it, absolutely.
It'll go. I mean, that's the way it's always worked. You know, when the high definition is available, we'll end up putting it in the systems more than likely.
Yeah.
But I, based on what I've seen in the video conferencing business for the last 30 years, the adoption curve of people actually using what we can give them is very low. I mean, it just doesn't seem like they.
Yes.
You know, just because we have it doesn't mean they use it.
Yeah.
Right.
So. Yeah, absolutely true. All right, guys. One last story here. You can comment if you'd like. There's not really a story. It's just something to say an attaboys for some very nice folks.
Oh, yeah.
First and foremost, the InfoComm announced their awards this week. Very proud, very happy that we are associated with with a bunch of these actually. But first and foremost, the Young AV Professionals Award. Our editor, AVNation's editor-in-chief, Josh Rago, was one of them. And actually, the co-host of our AV social show, Kelly Perkins, was the other one. So that's kind of cool, right? So congratulations to them.
Congratulations to both. Yeah, well deserved, by the way.
Well deserved. CTS actually was an educator. Was a couple folks that have been on. Both educator is our buddy Jeremy Caldera from ZDI. We had him on a couple weeks ago.
Welcome to the club. I was actually in that. God, how many years ago was that? Back when dinosaurs were rolling around still.
Oh, wasn't that? And then also Krista Bender and Hope Roth had them on several times as well. So congratulations to everybody. So
I saw the Mackie Barron wanted to kind of point out the Mackie.
Oh
Barron
yeah,
there.
Go ahead. Yeah.
David Bright.
Yeah. David Bright.
And I tell you what, that is well deserved as well. You talk about a true gentleman in the industry, and has just done a great job. Always a pleasure to work with. You know, it's really good to see him.
And they actually named the posthumously Rose Scher from Scher Mikes, gave her the Women in AV Award posthumously. She passed away here recently. So
It's a great class of awardees this year. It really is. I'm proud to know so many of them and work closely with so many of them.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys, that is going to do it. I'll let you guys get your weekend started. Mr. Shin, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Tim.
How can people find you and what you're up to and what you're doing?
Read the police blotter, for one.
Very nice.
When I'm wrapping that.
Yeah, we've got actually my daughter coming in from Savannah, Georgia, this weekend, so we're looking forward to that. We should be fun.
Very good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very cool. How do people find you, Paul?
Actually, at pdeppers@cisco.com is probably the best place. I'm still not a huge. I'm actually in LinkedIn and those types of things. But
You are in LinkedIn, yes, but that's
guy, but not. I don't have a Twitter feed or anything like that. Sorry.
We'll get you there. We'll get you there. Mike, what's your Twitter handle and everything?
At AXPMike, at AXPMIKE.
And how can people find out more about Ignite?
Please go to nsca.org, and we will be having a web launch, and we will be having an Ignite launch party with the Drunk Uncles concerts, which the Unks have so generously decided to donate all of the proceeds from this year's concert to the Ignite program, trying to ignite young people into the industry and hopefully give us a larger pool of talent to solve our labor problems.
Yeah, absolutely, and we are we're proud to be one of the media sponsors for that. So that's
always
on Wednesday
fun.
night of the.
Always a great time.
Yeah, always a good time. My name is Tom Albright. Don't follow me, but go by the website if you would, please. AVNation.tv. AVNation.tv. You'll find this program and a host of others. If you're interested in what we're doing at InfoComm, good God, we're gonna need some 5-hour energy and about 3 hours of sleep every day. There's my blog last week pretty much lays it out. Two things I want to point out. Number one is the tweet up. We're going to be at the Drunk Uncles concert on Wednesday night, but on Thursday from 4 to 6 in room N as in Nancy 205 is our annual tweet up event. It's a free networking event, basically free food and drink for 2 hours, 4 to 6. As you are exiting the show floor, come up the stairs, grab a drink, trade cards with folks, and then go on your merry way. Paul, you do not need a Twitter handle to be a part of this. It helps.
I have one that's buried around here somewhere.
You don't need one. You just need a business card. It's all you need. But here's the cool thing about this, and one of the things that I love about what I've ended up doing in life is I actually love connecting people with people that can help each other, right? That's what this event is. You're going to have manufacturers there. You're going to have integrators there. Programmers will be there. So technology managers will be there. It's a really cool event for that. And the way that we position it is exactly that. You come by on your way to your next event. So you do whatever you need to do. So 4 to 6 on that, and then also our annual recording of AVWeek live from the show floor is going to be 2 to 4 on Friday at our booth. So check all that out at avnation.tv. avnation.tv. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for watching. This
Take care, everybody.
has been AVWeek. Thanks, guys.